Okay, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to move to the US, and we're going to also be discussing some of the, some of the myths that were involved in moving to the US. So, a lot of people have reached out to me. I mean, I was born and raised in Montreal, Canada. And I left when I was about 16 years old, right after high school. And then I moved to New York. Spent a year in Israel, moved to New York, and then after that, made my way to Florida. At the moment, I am a U.S. citizen. However, I'm still, proud of my roots. But the opportunity has brought myself to America. So we're going to be speaking about some of the things involved in moving to Florida, specifically since I'm here. And a lot of things that I'm talking about will be applicable into other states as well. We're going to start by talking about different aspects of education, university, Medicare, Medicaid, gas pricing, food pricing, all this stuff that everybody keeps, asking me. But at the same time, it's very important to know that a lot of the stuff that you hear is false and incorrect. I will show you in this webinar how to move to the US with ease, how to obtain almost free healthcare, almost free education for your kids, and how to take advantage of the system that is being offered to us. Again, this is not legal advice. I'm not an advisor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax attorney. This is simply purely my opinion that I'm doing this for fun. So now I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start going through a couple of these things that I'm referring to. Okay, so let me share with you right here. All right. I hope you guys could see that nice and clear. I made it a little bit bigger. So right here you have representation. You know what? Actually, let me move my screen here so I could see a little bit bigger. And I'm going to share my other screen. Hold on just a moment. So that this way you can see it a lot better. Okay, perfect. So I made a little cheat sheet as to some of the things I'm going to be covering. The first thing is immigration. In order to move to the US, there are specific visas that are available to us in order to move to the US. These visas include the TN visa, the H-1B, and there's on this website, you can see there's a couple different options they mention. But the most, I would say the biggest ones are the H-1B and TN visas, okay? Now, these visas, some of them require you to have a degree. Some of them require you to have a job. Some of them require you to get into the U.S. With an opportunity of an investment. But these are the main ones. Okay. The F1, J1, M1 are for students with higher education. Then you have this as an employee, E1, E2. And then you have the RR1 and CR1, which is if you get married to a US citizen. And then you also have the K1 if you're financed to marry a US citizen, K1, and then also spouse of US citizen and waiting approval for the I-130. So the one I'd like to cover today, which is pretty popular, is the TN visa. Because the TN visa is a visa that is formulated between here, if I Google what the TN visa. The TN visa was formulated between the U.S., Mexico. It's a national free trade agreement between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. What it does is it allows Canadians to obtain a letter of employment. And with this letter of employment, you can literally show up at the border with a whole bunch of documents, and you get a visa on the spot. I personally did this one, and it was quite easy, quite quick. Requires you to have several positions. Now, For example, what people don't know is that if you hold an MBA, you could hold a position as an accountant, and maybe not a CPA, but you can hold a position as an accountant. At the same time, if you have an MBA, you can also hold a position as a in management, in finance. So there's a lot of things that people don't understand and take the time to understand that the TN can provide. It requires a $50 fee, and its approval is very quick at the border. Okay, so you just need a ticket into the country and make your way in. So, and you also don't need an attorney to do this option, which is pretty cool. I recommend getting an attorney, so this way all your paperwork will be in order. And maybe avoid making any mistakes, and it's not worth making those mistakes. So you would basically make the application, show your these are the documents you need by the employee. You need proof of Canadian passport, your diploma, your transcripts, credential evaluation if, for example, your credits are in some other language, and you would need this form DS-160. So it's very easy. This is the easiest way, in my opinion, if you have a degree, to get into America. So that's one option. Obviously, another option is you can actually get your citizenship through. You could have your company in Canada, open up, let's say, a branch in the U.S. That you would need an attorney to help you with, but a lot of companies are doing that because they want to expand their business into the U.S. So they all open offices, in the U.S. The other thing that I want to go over is just the cost of living, USA versus Canada. A lot of people think that it's more expensive to live in the US. It's not. It's not. I lived in both. And I even went back to the US after I was 16, maybe when I was about 22, 23, something like that. But I went back there for a year. But I can tell you that, as you could see from this chart, statistically, the rent is cheaper. Public transportation is almost 30% cheaper. Healthcare is fully subsidized. I'm going to go over that. Groceries. Groceries are cheaper as well. Food is cheaper in the US. You have more options. You have more choice. Clothing is cheaper. So you can buy things online these days, and shipping and Amazon is so easy in the US and you have fulfillment centers in every single corner of the Canada that it makes it very simple. And then you have your restaurant meals are cheaper, and luxuries, I would say, are probably cheaper or more expensive in the US. So let's go into some of the key takeaways. So, gas, things like that are also cheaper, at least in Florida. I'm going to go through this amazing cheat sheet that I made so that you guys can know the options that are available out for you. We have these visa options, which I sent in this link right here, and I'll be sharing this link. Actually, I'll be posting it in the channel right now, so all of you can take a look at it. Here it is. All right. Okay. I see Michelle Loris is not very happy about my messaging in the comments, but if you have any comments, you can post them and explain what it is that you oppose, and I'll be more than glad to do a Q&A at the end and answer questions or concerns, or if you disagree with anything that I'm talking about here. I'm open to everything. But I've lived in both places, and this is what I've lived through. Free healthcare. So let's talk about free healthcare. So first of all, contrary to what people believe, healthcare is free in the US if you are over the age of 65. It's available to people that are over 65, and this is from HHS, the US Department of Health and Services. I'm not making this up. And it is available to younger people with disabilities and people with end-stage renal disease, and etc. Okay. Now, this is Medicare. Of course, you can also get food stamps, which is if you're below the poverty level, you can receive food stamps that allows you to buy food at the supermarket. You don't have that in Canada. At least from what I remember, maybe there is such a program. And then basically you can go to this tool and this eligibility tool, and it'll tell you if you're eligible for Medicare. And this tool, by the way, is in the spreadsheet as well. It'll tell you if you're eligible for Medicare for this free healthcare program that's offered in the US, as well as estimating your premium. If it's not free, maybe it'll run you something, a cost, and it'll tell you what that is. Generally, if you are also below 65, between the ages of 18 to 65, and you are, depending on how much money you declare, you can obtain free healthcare from Medicare, fully covered, and you can usually choose the plans from different companies like Florida Blue, and there's many different companies. Additionally, there is something called Obamacare, which is healthcare.gov. I actually forgot to include this one in my spreadsheet, so I'm going to add it. Obamacare. What Obamacare does is it gives you, it's a great program that helps you pay for your premium and give you premiums, discounts, and credits. So what it does is, let's say your bill, let's say you are making money, but your monthly insurance bill would be $1,000 a month. What this can do is it can give you an $800 credit towards that $1,000. Now, if you end up making more money at the end of the year, then it'll get adjusted on your taxes. But what's interesting is that this allows you to get a big break on your income. I have friends of mine that make $80,000, $90,000 a year, and they only pay about $80 or $100 a month because they're getting $400 or $500 of tax credit on their healthcare. So, contrary to what they make you believe in Canada has the best healthcare system and this and that, I'm sorry, but my friends are dying in the ER, waiting there, 24 hours at a time, and not being able to see specialists. If I want to see a specialist in the US, I click a button, I go to ZocDoc, I click a button, and I make an appointment with a pulmonologist, and I see him the next day. This is unheard of in Canada. You have to go through your primary and then get a referral for the specialist, which could take 3 to 6 months, which is absolutely absurd in my opinion. And so America offers the best healthcare system, in my opinion. And if you don't like the specialist, you could just hop to another one. It really depends what kind of healthcare you get. There are different plans. Some healthcare plans require you to go to a primary. They're less expensive. Sometimes in some cases they're free, and that's why you have to go through your primary. Okay, so going back to this, there's healthcare.gov, which you can apply to, which is a great tool. And then I made a recommendation of 2 attorneys here that I've used myself. Again, I do not represent them or speak for them, but I just gave you their phone numbers in case you want to try them out. Free healthcare, we spoke about the 2 programs. Now, this is the tool to do the premium eligibility. Okay. And now we're going to jump into taxes. Okay. So let's talk about income tax levels. Okay. Basically, the Canadians are paying a lot of taxes, and those taxes are used to cover their health benefits of no health care and free education, or almost free education. A lot of people go for private medicine in Canada because they end up needing the care that they need right away. So tax brackets, for example, in places like Florida, are as low as 10%. You only pay 10% if you make between $0 to $10,000, $10,275. For somebody that is making the average of $41,000 to $89,000 is paying 22%. That's because we have less taxes in the state of Florida, as opposed to like New York, where you'll pay additional state tax in Florida. This is from the John Davis CPA CPA firm. On their website, they have all the tax brackets, and the tax brackets I gave you is for single payers. Of course, the moment that you get married, those numbers extend. You see here, if I'm married and I'm making between this tax bracket, I could be making up to $178,000 and I'm still at 2%, 22%, as opposed to here, 22% gets me only up to 89,000. So being married and having dependents and kids and all that will reduce your tax bracket. Once again, I'm not a tax attorney or CPA, but this is what I can pull from their website. And this is not accounting advice. So so contrary to people believe, when you work in the state of Florida, you will be making more money compared to Canada, because my family and friends that live in Canada are paying close to 50%. That's nearly triple or double, 2.5 times the tax bracket in Florida. Crazy. So ask yourself, all that money that you're making, would you, what if you saved all that money, okay, and then you had to spend a little bit more on healthcare, for example, right? For those premium discounts you're paying after you get the Obamacare and after you get all the assistance that the government is offering in the US. Okay. Let's talk about education. Education. There is private school. Specifically, I'm going to talk about what we've used in Jewish day schools. There is a company, an organization called Teacher Coalition, which is was created by a good friend of mine. And the Teacher Coalition has done lobbying and endorsed for programs to be available to students, okay, and assistance for student aid. Basically, what they did is they pushed the government to offer more programs and assistance for Jewish day schools through the two largest programs that are Step Up and AAA. Let's get into these. Step Up, okay? I know that growing up in Canada, high school was costing about $6,000, $7,000 after all the deductions. Now, today, I understand that places like Montreal or Toronto, high school could cost, Jewish day school could cost upwards of $10,000 a year per student. In America, your tuition costs are about $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 for Jewish day school. But what a lot of Canadians don't seem to understand or see is that there are programs such as Step Up that accept almost everybody. Some of them are income-based, some of them are not. But the statistic is that 90% of the Jewish day schools have their students on these programs. What does that tell you? That means 9 out of 10 children are getting approved for this. This program, for example, Step Up, is offering $7,000 per child for, and by the way, once they're approved and accepted, it's renewable automatically every single year until the child graduates high school. So from kindergarten until 12th grade, your child will receive, education with a $7,000 discount. So now we just cut the bill in half, okay? We just went from $15,000, $14,000 for your child or $13,000 from your child till about $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000, okay? So just with Step Up alone, you are already at half of what you would pay for student tuition in Canada. Now, if you add on, there's AAA, which does something similar. AAA offers an average of up to $7,112 per student. It's also, this one is income-based. And just so you know, these programs accept you faster if your children have disabilities, any learning disabilities. And what you need to apply is fairly simple. Your pay stubs, birth certificate, proof of residency, driver's license, and any other source of income. You apply fairly quickly, very easily. And these programs are actually still available for applications till about August or September time. So let's talk about So now you know how to get your children into Jewish day school using the two best programs. And then besides this, every school has, and I have a video on this. Every school has additional scholarships that are available for that couple $1,000s that you might be left with after you apply all the discounts and all the scholarships. University. In Canada, they have a similar program where you pay a monthly plan, and that will cover you for preparing for university. For as low as $45 a month, you could prepare for your children's future, start them when they're young, and you can literally go and have their tuition covered in university by the time they graduate. That's for a 2-year college plan. But if you pay $115 a month, your child will have a fully paid 4-year Florida college plan. And what's amazing about the Florida prepaid is that they lock in the price of tuition now. With inflation, if university costs $25,000 a year today, it might cost $50,000 in 15 years, 20 years, right? So what you do with My Florida Prepaid is you actually go into the you enter the you enter the you sign up for this. It blocks in the rate. You pay the monthly fee, and you can basically rest assured that by the time your child reaches an age to go into university, you're all set. Okay, so this is great. A great plan, and I recommend everybody to get onto this plan. Okay, My Florida Prepaid, you could do it very easily. You plug in your child's birth date, it shows you the rate, you hit apply, and you're good to go. So, all right, we're gonna have, hey Jeff, how are you?
Good, Ellie. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you. I'm gonna just finish up this spreadsheet, and then we'll talk a little bit about your feedback. I was going over some of the benefits of immigration and free healthcare and different things and busting certain myths that we've been told by our fellow Canadian friends, right? Jeff, by the way, is a childhood, one of my best friends growing up, and we've known each other forever. And he actually lives in Toronto. Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about, okay, so I covered university. Let's talk about cell phones, just regular utility bills. US Mobile offers plans as low as $20 a month, depending how extensive you want to go. $20 a month covers your plan, okay? And depending on how many lines you add, etc. Then you have a plan called Freedom Pop, which actually provides free plans for basic plans, free cell phones. Free cell phone plans for 250 minutes. If you want to go unlimited, it's $17 a month. So there are some very great options. Gas. Just a moment. So hey guys, it's all interruption. I'll be right with you. So if you have a gas which is offered at $4.85 a gallon, much cheaper than what's offering in Canada. Obviously, today's gas pricing has gone crazy. I use a tool called Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy is a tool which shows you all the gas stations and also gives you up to 25% per gallon cash back. There's different programs, but we're still about, I think, half the price that Canada offers for gas. So your transportation will be a lot cheaper. Let's talk about jobs. How do we get jobs in the US? There are places like ZipRecruiter where you could sign up for free and get a job. You can use Indeed.com. A lot of my friends sign up for this service called One Notary. You could become a notary with a 4-hour course. You can become an online notary, and you can get paid between $10 to $30 per signature working from home. And it works like Uber. You log in and people will just sign in and ask you for an online notarization. You click a couple buttons, you sign, put your stamp on it, and you get paid really good money doing that. I put here the steps how to start your own business. Okay, these are great tips. These offer, like NerdWallet will show you step by step how to start your own business in Florida, how to create an LLC, how to get a tax ID number, how to register your business. It's very easy to open up a business in the US. It took me about 10 minutes to open up an LLC in the state of Florida. You go to sunbiz.org, you hit create a new business, and you're set. Jeff, I'm going to step away for just a minute because I got to grab something. But Jeff, I'm going to give you the floor so you can talk a little bit about your experience, about your knowledge of the TN visa, and I'll give you the floor. Go ahead.
Thanks, Ellie. So my experience has been not so much with the TN, but with the L1B visa. So an L1B visa is what they call it, the Intra-Company Transferee Specialized Knowledge Visa. So in order to get this visa, your company needs to apply on your behalf, usually requires some lawyers, and it's if you have a specialized skill that they cannot fill in the U.S. I think the only way you could apply for it is if your company applies for it on your behalf. And I know that there's a lot of paperwork involved, so some companies are a bit reluctant to do it, but it is a pretty easy way to get, to work in the United States. And I think if you have it for around 5 years, it converts into a green card. When I had it, I only had it for a year. But the disadvantage is that if you quit, then either you have to make sure that gets transferred to a different company, and if not, you need to come back. You need to come back to Canada. Otherwise, you are there illegally. I don't know if Ellie spoke about the TN visa, but I mean, you could go to the TN visa. The problem with the TN visa is that it has to be renewed, I think now, every 3 years? There's always a chance they won't when you cross the border. So, I mean, TN's easier to get, but riskier. Your other option you have is the I-130. So the I-130 is for a relative. So this is something actually that I've started. My father-in-law has become a U.S. citizen, like I would say a few months ago. So as soon as he became a U.S. citizen, I started the process for applying for the I-130. So I'm just looking. I have the notes in front of me here. So in order to apply for that visa, you have to be the spouse of a U.S. citizen, an unmarried child under the age of 21 of a U.S. citizen, the parent of a U.S. citizen who's at least 21 years old. Your other options are unmarried son or daughter of a U.S. citizen, and you're 21 years and older, married son or daughter of a U.S. citizen, brother or sister of a U.S. citizen who's at least 21 years old. Now, with some of these criteria, like if you are over the age of 21, I'm learning, and you're married, the process is much, much slower. You're put way beyond, you're put at the end of the line. Like under my circumstances, I'm married with 2 kids, so I'm not a dependent on my father-in-law. And because of that, it's going to take about 10 years. We did the math of the application, people, number of applicants per year, number of people in line. I'll be lucky if I see that in 10 years. So obviously this advantage is 10 years is a long time, but once that comes up, I'm guaranteed a green card. There's no dispute. Like I can get it. Well, my wife is going to get it, and by default I'll get it, and the kids will get it. So Ellie, we were also talking about the L1B visa before. I'm not sure how much you talked about the TN visa. So I mean, those 2 visas specifically are the ones that I've had experience with.
Got it. Okay, amazing. Like maybe you can tell us a little bit while we have you. Just what are some of the costs in Toronto versus Montreal, for example? I mean, do you find that? How do you feel in general that your cost of living is in Canada versus the U.S.? Do you feel that the opportunities, or that financially, that you'll be a lot better off in the U.S. when you end up there, or do you still feel that Canada has your back in terms of the best cost savings.
Well, cost of living is much, is much lower in the United States. Like compared to Montreal, Toronto's way more. Most people know that. The cost of housing, I think, is like what I didn't check lately, but at one point it was like double, right? So,
Right.
I mean, in terms of like, I guess investment wise, the Toronto houses tend to appreciate faster than the U.S., but obviously that's one factor of many, right? In terms of when you're assessing your better quality of life, right, and lower cost of living. I think in Canada, a lot of people are, they're afraid of, they think that when they go to the U.S., their healthcare, bills will be very high. I don't know if you covered that already. I think it's a misconception, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the misconceptions. I think a lot of Canadians are borderline brainwashed to think that, right? Just living in both countries, when you speak to the average Canadian about moving to the U.S., the first thing they'll tell you is, "Oh my God, the healthcare is going to be so expensive." Probably 90% of the time.
Yeah, and that's why I went through this exercise of showing people how they can take advantage of programs like Medicare, which is free after the age of 65, and for people with disabilities. Also, Medicaid that offers substantial reductions to lower income households. Basically, if you don't make a lot of money in the US, your healthcare will be free. And if you are even making this decent amount, if you're making about $70,000, $80,000 a year, you're still going to be having almost 80% reduction through Obamacare. They'll literally give you a credit towards your monthly bill, applicable immediately.
But even in cases when there's a copay, right? Because a lot of people have a copay in the United States. Your insurance only covers X amount, and then you pay the rest. A lot of people don't factor in, okay, yes, it's expensive, even with the copay. But you have to factor in the tax comparison, right? Like in most states in the United States, your income tax rates are way lower, with the exception of a few, I think, like California and New York. You take those out of the picture, you're paying way less tax in the United States. So,
yeah,
in Canada, people forget the healthcare is not free. The healthcare is not free. You're paying a lot of taxes for it. So, I think when people do that comparison, they're not taking their income tax into account.
Right. At the same time, like we saw, what's interesting is that the income tax level, for example, for $150 a year in the state of Florida, will only be paying 22% if he's married. If he's single, he'll be paying a little bit more. It's about 24%. So it's quite incredible how much lower taxes are, income taxes, in states that, for example, like in states that you don't have state tax, right? Like Florida. The big difference is those states. Of course, if you go into New York, now you're adding this additional, you're paying more to live in a colder place. So okay, very good. So I don't see any. If there's any questions, you can ask them right here. You can post them. I'll be opening up. Let me open up Facebook, because sometimes through my streaming app, the questions don't come through. So let's do a Q&A. Let's see if anybody has any questions that we can answer.
And Ellie, it's also important to note. It's also important to note that in Quebec has the highest tax rate in all of North America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're paying more in Quebec versus Toronto?
Than Ontario and any other province in Canada, and it's by quite a bit.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because Quebec offers a lot of services, right? Way more services than other provinces, so you pay for it. The $10 a day daycare, right, and things like that. It's expensive, so you pay.
Got it. Okay, here I'm gonna post your questions here. Just a second here. Okay. Let's see if we have any questions or comments. Just a moment here. All right. I don't think there's any questions, except somebody was pissed off. So Michelle lady posted bullshit. She didn't even ask a question. She just was frustrated. I think what's happening is a lot of Canadians are, probably especially Quebecers, are afraid for the truth to be out there as to the realities when it comes to it's such a shame. It's just a lack of in my opinion, as far as making sure that people who do want to come could take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. All right, let me check. Let me open up my YouTube channel here. Just a moment. All right. And then if you want, you can ask questions you can post these questions on YouTube as well. I'll have it. I'll have this stream posted on there, and I'm also going to post I'm going to be posting the. I'm going to be posting this to YouTube, my YouTube channel. So you could go to cryptoyid.com, click on the YouTube channel, and you'll see the link to this spreadsheet that I created, so that you guys can all take advantage of that as well. All right, let me go to comments. Just give me a second here. All right. Okay, we're going to give it one more minute. And by the way, Jeff himself actually is working on moving to here to, eventually to the US. So if anybody has any questions, you can let us know, and I'm sure he'll be more than glad to share some of the experiences involved in setting that up. He's taking a little bit of the longer path, but it's a path that's more guaranteed for him that if he feels is in the right time, right? At the right time. So, okay. So I think we're going to conclude. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your time. Appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, just don't forget to subscribe to my channel, updated with more interesting, cool stuff. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.